Yeah, we can go ahead and start talking about this. So let's put it this way. Allow me to reframe it.
Yeah. Go ahead. Go
Um,
ahead.
because there's a number of things that you said there where I can understand, oh yeah, this is not a wholesome way to treat or talk
Well,
about women.
so to maybe put it in a word, the concern or what is coming up a little bit for me is that basically it sounds like misogynistic advice. So like a misogynistic behavior, like view.
Sure. Yeah, and there's honestly like a number of, I mean, we could go all the way back to the Buddha here, right? And
Yeah.
and yeah, I mean, I invite you to read that sutta on your own later. It's been quite a while since I've read it, so I'm not, I don't remember it super well. But yeah, I do remember generally speaking, the advice is to let the wife take care of things, right?
Yeah.
Another story though, that I'd like to point to before we get into all of this is this has always been something I've uh, been hesitant to share with people because for me, it's kind of more of a belief than anything. It's not something that I know hardly anything about or what have you. But in the suttas, when the Buddha was asked to allow for women to ordain, he said no. He said no again, and he said no again. And then finally he was like, okay, fine, I'll allow it. And not only did he allow for a bhikkhuni order, but he took great care to make sure that it was a well-established order. It wasn't just like, okay, they're going to have the same rules as the men. It's just going to be the same way. No, it was very, I suppose we could say, customized and thoughtfully put together. But my belief around it was that one of the reasons he said no was he could see that, oh, there's going to be a great deal of conflict here. And that did indeed end up happening. The Bhikkhuni order was wiped out. Um, I'm not a historian, so I don't know exactly how that happened, but through things like wars and famine and etc. And just generally speaking, women throughout history have not been treated very well.
Yeah.
And in the time of the Buddha, most spiritual teachers, even ones who were teaching about jhana and things like this, looked down on women. And, I mean, if you said something like, oh, yeah, even a woman could be enlightened, and it may even be easier for them than it is for men. I mean, people would really think that you're crazy, right? So in the way, the Buddha was certainly we could say a revolutionary feminist icon. And the opinion here is I still think that's true. I think that the a lot of the issues surrounding uh, women in Buddhism, both as lay women and as bhikkhunis or as nuns, even a lot of those issues basically come from men.
Yeah.
And there's been it's not as strong as it used to be, but I certainly had like a real desire of like, okay, how do we get women like more involved? How do we show that the Buddha Dhamma is worthwhile for women to practice too? How do we make it a less misogynistic space? How do we make it feel more inclusive, etc. Right?
Yeah.
So, again, let's just sort of reframe what was said here instead of picking it apart.
Yeah.
The first thing that I would say is like the Buddhas and Dhammarato and myself currently are just pointing to here's how to be kind to women in a relationship. Or at least here's the advice.
Yeah.
Let's see, they're getting another call.
Oh. We can make it quick, no worries. Who's calling?
Dhammarato,
Oh, yeah.
would you like to have him join?
Yeah, get him into the call.
Okay. Let's see how we do this. Honestly, Jonas, I think it's going to be easier if you join the call with me and Dhammarato. Just make it easy on him.
No worries. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll start the call there.
Hello.
No, I don't think I did it right.
Oh. Hey, Dhammarato.
Is he here? Yeah, there he is. Okay.
Hey, Mikey, I have some food. Do you want it?
Okay, sure, yeah.
Yeah, why don't
We got Jonas on the line. Can you hear him here?
Yes.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Jonas, go ahead and
Yes.
share your story about visiting Wat Suan Mok.
Okay, yeah, for sure. I was at Suan Mok today. And you hear me, Dhammarato?
Yes.
Good. So I was at Suan Mok today, just visiting for some hours, some minutes maybe. And I ended up running into Ajahn Po there because I wanted to take some books from Buddhadasa and spoke to a monk about it. And he wasn't able to answer my questions, so he kind of asked me or invited me to come speak to this old time monk. And when I approached him, and he had really good English, so I was like, he asked me where I'm from, and I said, well, I'm from Germany. I recently was with Deepa Pawan, and with Ajahn Po. And then he said, well, I'm Ajahn Po. So that was, I didn't realize that I was speaking to Ajahn Po, but he was there. It was like a really old man. And I ended up speaking with him a little bit, and he gave me some of the books of Buddhadasa. But also, I asked him about you, if he knows Dhammarato, who's living on Kopangan, and he said, "Yeah, I remember Dhammarato." That's basically what he said. Yeah, and that was kind of my meeting today with Ajahn Po.
Okay. Good.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, really
But-
good. It was an honor and a pleasure to meet him. Really nice.
Yeah, he doesn't make it over to watch someone mow very often because he's old and it's a hard trip.
Yeah. Well, I heard when I was at Deepa Pawan, which is probably 1.5 months ago or something or longer. He was not there currently, but somewhere else. So I guess maybe he's been at Suan Mok for some time, but I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, he makes it over there sometimes. He's the abbot.
Of Suan Moog? Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was a sweet surprise.
Was that all the interchange about me? Was just he said, yeah, he knows me?
Yeah, he said just I know you. I know him. That's what he said.
He also said hello and wishes you well.
Oh yeah, right. He said I should say hello to you whenever I speak to you again from him. And
Oh,
wishes
okay.
well, right? And well wishes, right? Forgot about that already, right? That's always what happens.
Yeah, I would have expected that. But anyway, no problem.
So, Mikey, are you still recording the call?
Yeah, Dhamma Jonas and I were talking about how to treat women.
Yeah. So we can, if you want to speak about this, I was just speaking with Mikey about it.
Well, you can treat them with gold, you can treat them with silver, you can treat them by buying them a house, you can treat them by taking care of them, you can treat them by giving them their way, let them do as they please.
Yeah, so maybe let's start with this from the beginning. So, because I ran into some problems regarding some things you said, actually. And I was just asking Mikey about that to maybe, get another view or another opinion on that. So I was looking into like a one-on-one call you did with Joel from like 2022, so maybe like 3 years ago. And you recited a sutta. Um, Correct me if I'm wrong, okay, Mikey. Um, you recited like a sutta where what actually was it, did it say in the sutta? You remember, Mikey?
Yeah, it's the Diginikaya. I think the number is 12 or 21. Yeah.
31.
Oh, 31.
Yeah, and it was about that the Buddha advised to give all the, what did it say? All the duties over to the wife, or all the decisions, something like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so this was kind of where it started from. And then in this video, in like 4 or 5 minutes, you said like some 3 points which really troubled me. So maybe I can list them quickly. So the first thing you said in this call was, give all the decisions over to your wife, and she will end up consulting you anyways, and you will stay the boss anyway because it's not a matriarchal society. The second thing was, you said the only way to keep a wife happy is by letting her do and get what she wants, dropping your demands. And the last thing was, if you don't like something that she does, you can tease her about it instead of arguing. These were the 3 things that were troubling me a little bit, because it's
That's great advice. Why is it troubling you? Because you don't like it.
right, yeah, because I don't like it. And because I think it's kind of, for me, it sounds like really, it's like a manipulation of the wife, kind of. That's what it sounds to me. It's like, because you're instead of
Yeah, are
like,
you going to manipulate and argue with her, or are you going to manipulate and let her have her way?
well, it sounds like untruth if I just agree with her when she does something wrong. So it's like, kind of, it feels like for me, I'm like, kind of
Are you
like,
speaking hypothetically, or are you speaking through an example?
well, hypothetically right now, let's say I disagree with
All
her over
right.
something for
Come
whatever.
back when you have a real example, a concrete example.
a concrete example.
Yeah.
Well,
let me tell you a little story.
good.
All right. The elderly man and his wife went to church. And in a session, he gave a testimonial about how much he loves children. And then
Mhm.
when they got home, he saw that the kids had been running in the newly poured cement, and he got angry. And his wife reminded him, "Oh, I thought you loved kids." And he says, "Yes, I love them in the abstract, but not in my concrete."
Hmm. So let me come up with an example. Let's say I um, um, do something that displeases her. Because let's say I do, I kind of hard to come up with an example.
Yeah, it is,
On the
isn't it?
spot.
That's the whole point that I'm trying to make is that there are no examples. You're just speaking hypothetically. And always when there are people hypothetically, the point about hypotheticals is that there is not enough evidence unless you make it up, because you're making up the hypothetical anyway. All right, that is always, and so when somebody asks a hypothetical question, there's really no answer to it without giving a whole lot of other details that have to be made up on the spot. So, that's why I ask you that question, is that you're making up an example just in case, without having an actual example of it. Now, here's a
Well,
point. Isn't that marvelous? You don't even have an example for your beef.
well, let's say I'm disagreeing with my wife, and we run into like a
Why are
discussion.
you disagreeing with her? You just broke the rule. Don't disagree with her.
But let's say we have different opinions on two things.
Well, why are you holding opinions?
Well, I guess because I'm not practicing enough.
Well, an opinion is a belief. All right, based upon lack of evidence. That's why it's an opinion. It's just a
Basically.
belief. Now, if someone would ask me, "What do you believe about this, that, and the other?" I would say, "I don't believe in belief. I believe in evidence." Now, what might be hard someday is that she actually does something that you don't like. Can you keep your mouth shut?
But
Because
why
she's
would I?
probably
Why
not
would I?
going to change.
Why is she not
just
going
be-
to change?
because people don't. She's as stubborn as you are.
Yeah, yeah. Because I have to understand it. Why won't she change if I talk to her?
Yeah, you want her to change, and she wants you to change.
But I don't get why it's not like if I like just like talking with you. I can give advice, and or either I take it or I don't. So it's
Yeah,
good
that's
to
right.
speak. It's good to
Mm-hmm.
speak with each other. It's good to reflect, to have somebody else to reflect on what you're doing, what you're saying, isn't it?
Well,
Like what?
let me bring it back down to this point. Okay, you are not her Dhamma teacher.
Right,
You're
right,
not her Dhamma teacher, right? So, what you're the Dhamma student, and the way to learn the Dhamma is by living in reality. And the reality is that she wants her way, and you can deal with that inside your own mind. You don't have to try to deal with it on the outside. Let her have her way. That makes your life a whole lot easier. You're just trying to make trouble for both you and her when you want to give her your opinion, unless she asks for it.
Unless she asks for it. Okay, let's go to another point, Deborah. Maybe the first one. The first one in which you said, give all the decisions over to your wife, and she will end up consulting you, and you will stay the boss anyway. It sounds like me. You want like it's a controlling thing. Like, why do I want to stay the boss? It's like how can I control her and that she makes me the boss? I don't understand that.
Well, that's because you haven't studied psychology, I guess, then.
No,
So, what I suggest is try it out instead of arguing with it.
I mean, maybe you can first tell me like why does that make sense? Why did you say that, or why are you saying that?
Saying what?
Like kind of coming up with that way of like giving her all the decisions so that she will end up consulting me and I will stay the boss anyway. Like, why do I control the situation in a way so that I stay the boss?
Well, why don't we just forget about that then and cut it off at let her make the decisions and see what happens?
Well, what about if she practices the Dhamma as well?
I recommend that she go get a good teacher and not use you.
Okay, okay. Maybe not, maybe not. I'm not a teacher, I'm just a student. So, but I'm
Right,
trying
that's
to
what I'm
understand.
saying. Don't try to be her Dhamma teacher.
Yeah, no, I'm not her Dhamma teacher.
All right.
Yeah, so
Good point, Mikey. Don't be her boss. That's the problem with the Western and the patriarch.
yeah, for me, these 3 points that I brought up really sound like you are giving an advice so that to form a patriarchy.
Well, actually,
So this
we're
is what
just
I don't
using a
understand.
sutta. That's the Buddha's advice. The Buddha's advice to a householder, and the important point was is that the householder came to him to get advice, and so that was the advice that he gave the householder. Now, the advantage of that is that by giving the wife all of what she wants to do, that gives you complete freedom to do nothing,
But it doesn't
to
give her
actually
complete freedom,
practice the
does it?
Dhamma.
It doesn't
You
give
can
her
just sit
complete
on the
freedom.
porch and do nothing until she comes to you. You don't trust her?
I do, I do. Yeah. Well, yeah, yeah, for sure, I agree with that. The problem I had was with the last part of the sentence, and you will stay the boss anyway. This was what I didn't understand, or what I don't understand. Um, hmm. So you're saying not staying the boss of her, right? Mhm. Mm. Yeah. So if I don't have any, if I drop my demands and my opinions, why is there something I dislike about her that I have to tease her with?
Because you don't want to lose control. What you don't like is the you that doesn't like. In other words, I'm calling you out about being selfish. You want your own way.
Yeah, it's something about me, because something that I don't like what she's doing. Why should I tease her with it?
But you don't even have a point. That's the whole thing, is that you're making it up hypothetical. It's not real.
Yeah, maybe I have to think about that sometime, because it's really troublesome for me still. Yeah, but that makes it more troublesome for me, because this person, because he's a first time caller, he does have opinions, he does have demands, and he does not like something that his wife does. Mm, 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 mm. Okay, so it's good that we record this so I can re-listen to these things and think about it. Actually, good. Um, yeah, okay. Okay. Let me think if there's anything else.
We'll see you guys later. I'm checking out.
Yeah, Damarado, thanks for calling. See you. Bye bye.
I had my yeah. Was there anything else, Jonas?
I'm just going over my notes right now. Give me one
Sure.
second. Mm, yeah, so kind of trying to integrate now uh, what you said about that it's a first time caller, this advice was
Mm.
given. And seeing it from a position where you don't actually have demands, right, is maybe this would make some sense. Well, actually, you don't have to do anything to keep her happy because you just don't have demands and opinions. So you don't argue with her, obviously, right? Because you just don't care.
Yeah, that was exactly. You're putting it more clearly even now. Is that the whole point of saying, "Oh, just tease her instead," is again just pointing to at least don't argue with her.
So, but I'm seeing if you're just not there, which I expect the first time caller is probably not. For me, giving him this advice and him acting in that way when he in fact didn't drop any of his demands and didn't drop any of his likes and dislikes is destructing. For me, it feels like given this is like
Well, we also
undermining
can't
this relationship.
we also can't separate the advice from the whole package either. You know, Dhammarato frequently says, you know, I haven't watched this call in particular, but hey, there's all these other calls you can watch on our YouTube channel, yada, yada, yada. You know, there's certainly the invitation there. Hey, keep practicing, you know, keep coming back to this. The truth is, there's a lot of things that Dhammarato says. There's a lot of things that I said. Even the things that maybe I've told you, where it's like, from one perspective, it looks like it's true, it sounds like it's true, it feels like it's true, you know. But then whenever the practice reaches another point, we could say, it's like, well, that doesn't sound or feel or look true anymore.
Yeah.
And
Well, so
it's
I don't know
not
if you can.
necessarily. I'm not necessarily even making a case for relativism. You know, I'm not just saying like, oh, well, the truth is relative, even though there is, you know, there could be some truth in that too. It's more just so that like there's an easing up to these things, uh, and we can even see it in the way that the Buddha taught. You know, another like an example of how to put it is like you can't really just tell people, oh, just let it go.
Yeah.
You know, if we could, we wouldn't have all of these, you know, 2,000 hours of videos and all of these Dhamma teachers and all of these books and blah, 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 blah. You know, if you could just tell people, oh, just let it go.
Yeah.
But there does come a point, I would say, for people who are well practiced, seasoned practitioners, where if they brought something to me, I could just tell them, oh, just let it go. And that would be enough already right there, pointing out, oh, you're hanging on to something.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, yeah, this is worth repeating, like the Buddha Dhamma. It is, you know, that is a fundamental part of the teaching is how repetitive it is, and all of the repetition of the teachers, the repetition of one's own practice.
Yeah.
Because it is the truth and reality and the Dhamma. It's profound. It's not simple.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
not easy to get.
yeah. 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 No, I do understand that there's a different language. Even the Buddha did this, right?
Mhm. Yeah,
He spoke in different languages depending
yeah,
on the people, right? To
yeah.
monks differently, and
Mhm.
to lay people. And I do understand that um kind of instantly speaking with a noble Dharma kind of high language or whatever.
And
At first time,
it's also worth pointing out Dhammarado's tone. As his tone is very much so that of, hey, Lighten up. Don't be hard on her or so serious about the relationship.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you can see, but still this remains for me. Given that it's a first time call, for me this like to bring it up again is
Okay.
it that it's what I think is giving this kind of advice, even though because the reason being that it might be taken in a wrong way,
Okay.
might be taken in a misogynistic way, is kind of quite dangerous because it for this person, and I don't know if Joel did understand at that point,
Yeah, sure.
is that it's like because it just basically it can imply that kind of the woman cannot handle disagreement or negotiation,
Yeah,
so that they can only stay.
that's definitely not the implication. The implication is that it's not worth arguing. Simply that. It's really not worth arguing about anything. Another thing we could say. So, I mean, listen to what you're saying a bit here. You're basically saying like that guy could have taken it the wrong way, and it's like, yeah, you're right. And there are plenty of times where people take what Dhammarato says the wrong way. In fact, I would say that happens most of the time. People take it the wrong way, or they take it too far, or they take it too literal. Here's another thing about advice, though, is that advice is just advice. It's another thing to not be so serious about. It's another thing to not have passion about. It's another thing to not get stuck on or to be bothered by or to feel like, oh, this advice is the boss of me. That's why so many times Dhammarato has repeated, I'm not your guru. Don't see me as a teacher, see me as a friend. And then people will hear that and think, oh, he's such a great teacher. And so, like,
Yeah.
when the reality is he's being genuine when he says that. It's like, just see me as a friend giving friendly advice. If you take it the wrong way and it doesn't work for you, are you really practicing skillfully there? Because, yeah, I mean, there's, and there's things that Dhammarato says sometimes, for example, that it's like, well, that's not true. There's things he's been wrong about. The Dhamma and the practice really isn't about being perfect or giving perfect advice. I mean, there's the time where the Buddha said, oh, yeah, go ahead and meditate, or go ahead and, what do they call it? The death contemplation, or no, meditate, contemplate on how gross the body is. He told a group of monks, look at how gross the body is, see how it's not worth clinging to. And then he came back, and many of the monks had killed themselves. So he stopped teaching that. And this was a post-awakened Buddha that we're talking about. So it's like, could we say that even the Buddha was perfect if he gave a teaching where people heard it and then they killed themselves? Could we say that Jesus was perfect whenever on the cross he says, God, why have thou forsaken me?
Yeah.
Still full of doubt at the end of his life? But if anything, this teaching of, oh, our teachers and these great beings aren't perfect, that's just another worthwhile reason to genuinely practice and take a look what's really going on here and now. What's going on with the breath? What's going on with the body? What's going on with the mind? Are we being friendly with our wives, our friends, our family, the people in the world?
So
Investigate that. Yeah.
does the same advice apply the other way around? If the wife is practicing the Dhamma, but the man isn't.
Yeah. Oh, I'm actually glad you brought that up because I was going to bring that up earlier. Is I've heard Dhammarato give that advice to women, sort of in the opposite direction, kind of, where it's basically like, you can be the Dhamma practitioner and let your husband take care of things. So he has given it the opposite way, but
So what if you're both Dhamma practitioners
then you can go. I mean, this is advice coming from Mikey, but you can both go ordain then, help each other to ordain, and you can stay at one Wat on one side of the island, and she can stay at the other Wat on another side of the island, and you can see each other during some of the bigger ceremonies and things like that.
Yeah. So it's definitely what I see as like in a relationship or a marriage is what you do is you support each other, right?
Mhm.
You support each other kind of being in a team.
Sure.
So in that, and it's true what the Murado said. I'm not her Dhamma teacher.
So let's put it this way.
But
One of the biggest parts of the reason that we live in a patriarchy is because men don't shut up. They're always getting in the way. They're always saying, well, here's what I have to say about the situation. I mean, the same thing can even be said on our Discord server. You see the women, they just type a little bit, and the men, they'll send these big, huge, long paragraphs and just send tons of messages and go back and forth at each other and whatever.
yeah.
And the women will just send these nice, short, little sweet messages like, oh, thank you for the call. There's little things like that, And so, in a way, the reason that we live in a patriarchy is because the men aren't listening. Why aren't they listening? Because they're too busy yapping. And where does the yapping start? And so, again, in a way, what Dhammarato is talking about, oh, you can just hang out on your own porch and do nothing. It's this idea of get out of the way. Because that's what's causing all of these wars. That's what's turning all of these big egoed guys into billionaires that are creating these companies that are ruining a lot of people's lives.
Yeah.
Why not just take it easy instead? There's already enough.
Yeah. So, um, yeah. Kind of a shame my partner isn't here right now.
Sure.
But it definitely you're seeing this episode, and both of us seeing it. It
I will say I definitely agree with what Dhammarato said, is don't try to be her teacher. Like, you can have your teacher and friends, and she can kind of have her teacher and friends.
right. Yeah. Yeah. So I might need some time to rewatch this. I might get into dialogue with him and with you again.
Sure.
And
There's one last point that I'd like to make is
for sure, yeah.
here at this house, I would say that Dhammarado's wife is also a practitioner. But the way she practices Dhamma, it's not the same. But she has calls with her friends where she's smiling and laughing and having a good time. She spends most of the day just quietly taking care of things. She has a very peaceful and at ease attitude and never yells. In a way, I would almost point to the Buddha's advice, going back to what we were talking about earlier, is that it's possible that women are actually better practitioners in the Dhamma than men are, because they can sort of get away with doing things and quiet the mind at the same time. Now, I know I'm making a generalization here. That's not going to be true for all women, and that's not necessarily going to be true that men can't cook and clean and quiet their mind at the same time, right?
Yeah.
But again, part of the getting out of the way of householder things so the woman can take care of it is actually an invitation to say, hey, let's at least in this house not have it be so patriarchal. Let's have a little bit more equilibrium here.
Yeah. No, I do understand what you're saying. I guess that's what it's about when I call to figure out if this is because ultimately, I guess and I see these tendencies in me as well, right? This tendency of a controlling man. And I guess it's something even in our society, which is really prominent.
It's baked into you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Baked. Yeah. And kind of. Yeah, kind of the problem, or like also this kind of view of a woman being this highly emotional being, whereas a man is like kind of more or more cold or more balanced, right? It's kind of what we grew up still in this society with. And this, for me, hearing something like this was just like it sounds like feeding into this kind of narrative where you see this woman as kind of this um, as not being able to handle this conflict, and that's why you just agree with her. So this is what I took from that.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, I mean, that's definitely not it. Yeah. But I think you're getting it more clearly now. Is it's just like there's no need for people who are practicing Dhamma to engage in conflict. Engaging in conflict means that you're not having thoughts like, hey, things are already okay.
Yeah. Well, okay, Mikey. Thanks a lot. In-depth
Yeah.
call.
I really enjoyed this call. I'm so happy you called and glad to hear about trip to Swanmoke and all that.
Yeah, I got some books that I have to look into soon. I'm coming back to Kopangan tomorrow, actually.
No way. You know who
You
also
are.
is someone messaged me while we were talking here. It's Pra Daniel who's going to be here tomorrow. So,
He will. Oh wow.
oh wow.
Cool.
All right.
Cool.
Yeah, let's please keep in touch and let me know what the schedule is and all of that. And we'll see if we can coordinate something.
Yeah, we'll see. We will definitely stay in touch for sure.
Okay,
I will
okay.
update you probably on what I'm doing.
All right. Take care, friend. Bye for now.
Take care, you too. Thank you. Bye
We'll
bye.
send you this recording later.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, yeah.